for providing value. And thanks to you all, including those on screen, for coming to the first Grid Charlotte event. So for those who don't know, if you didn't look up what Grid Charlotte or Grid is, Grid, I'm gonna go over here because I forgot about the camera. So Grid is a investor network that focuses on education and networking and helping you all build wealth. So for people to plug in the internet, and I know everybody in this room is investor savvy. We are looking for future speakers as well. And we have topics every month to bring live to you via Zoom or in person. And so we are launching officially. There are 50 chapters across the country. So if you go to Grid Investor Network, you can plug in, connect with lots of other people that are just like you. And we have people that are builders, we have people that are agents, we have people that are hard money lenders, mortgage lenders. So every single person in the real estate industry is in that group. So thanks for being here and for launching this with us. So I'm gonna let you all introduce yourselves and share with you what you do. And we'll start with you.
Okay. My name is Amy Long. I am owner of the Plumb Line. I guess the short answer is I'm a designer and project manager. The long answer is it's kind of evolved into, I guess, a consultant per se for investors and homeowners to help budget, allocate funds, get, where to spend your money, how much money you should spend, things like that. And then I also, I sell cabinets, I have a real estate license, and then I do interior design.
She designed this space.
So I am Dominique Rice, real estate investor and managing partner of Buy the Block CLT. Here at Buy the Block CLT, we have a few different tiers. We have a senior program where we buy homes for some seniors, we fix them up, and we allow them to live in the home free of charge until they transition. We do wholesaling, we do investing in terms of flips, and we also are starting our buy and holds this fall/winter. So we have a few different sides of things, and then we have a couple of agents that work directly with us, which is my mom and one of my partners, where if someone doesn't want to wholesale their home, we can help them list on MLS. So we kind of have our hands in all things real estate investing.
Awesome.
I'm Tom O'Neill. I'm a realtor with Keller Williams. I also do flips. I do some buy and hold rentals, and we're starting to get into seller financing properties as well now. That's the newest avenues, being the note holder for someone that's a buyer. So
That's exciting.
yeah,
That's really great. Great. Well, and so I'm Rebecca Cullen. I own Cullen Company at Keller Williams. This building is our newest project, and we have 8 portfolio properties from second home to buy and holds. We do a little bit of wholesaling. We do commercial. We love land listings. We have a lot of land listings. So the reason why bringing you guys this Grid Charlotte is because I want to connect with more of you. The people up here I've connected with, and I want to connect with more. And so welcome and thank you for being here. Looks like, okay. Rania, thanks for letting people in. All right, so without further ado, I also want to encourage you all to ask questions. So if there's more questions or you want them to continue down a little bit further, please do that. To those on Zoom, it might be a little more challenging. I'll try to pay attention to the chat, but know that I'm not ignoring you. I just don't see the screen very well right now. So, all right, first question. All right, this is for all three of you. How do you research the locations and figure out the ARV? And maybe it's more of these guys, but how do you research your locations, your areas, and the ARV in the current market that we're in?
I guess I'll start. A lot of times, like, I'm not looking in any specific area. Like, I'm not looking to only buy houses or flip houses in certain neighborhoods because of the market right now. So I'm looking at pretty much anything that comes across my plate. And then as far as figuring out the ARVs, because I'm a realtor, I'm looking at comps on the MLS, what's sold in the last 6 months that is a similar square footage, a similar finish, and within as close as I can get as far as proximity. You know, if you can stay within a mile or a half mile, the better, you know, that's better. But before I actually purchase or invest, I'm gonna physically go to that home and look at the home itself and look at the neighborhood, because when you get into some of these tertiary markets like Chester and Lancaster, one street over can be very different. So, you know, you can, like Chester, for instance, you can be $300,000 on one street and be $50,000 on one block over, you know, without actually physically going there and trying to just invest from, you know, data on a computer. It get messy. So I physically go boots on the ground to a lot of places before I invest. So that's kind of my research.
All right.
Sure.
So I'm a very conservative investor, and I have invested in Charlotte, Gastonia, and I really like to stay in that 70-30 range, which people say it's impossible to do in Charlotte, and it's not. You just have to be patient. I tell people, don't be desperate. It's like dating. Don't be desperate. Don't go for the first thing. Like, take your time. But a few things that we do is we work with a lot of wholesalers. We have our own wholesaler team. We have our own cold caller, our own acquisition. So we're evaluating deals every single day. We run comps. I'm not a realtor. I hope I'm never a realtor. You guys have a lot of responsibilities. But when I first started, I sent my mother to real estate school. So my mom is a realtor. She'll run comps if needed. But I also have a partner who works with us and who runs comps, and we're looking to bring someone else on. That sole job is to run comps and send out offers, because we send out a lot of offers every single week right now. But really, we just are always, we're finding our own deals, working with wholesalers. We're always out and about looking for deals. Even if we're out to eat or if we're out having fun with friends, we always talk about what we do, and deals come random ways. Again, we look at the comps, we look at the ARV, and then I have a handy dandy calculator that we can maybe put in the chat, but I have a calculator that I can put in the ARV, I can put in the repair estimate budget, and then it literally tells me how much we can buy this house for. And this tool I recommend for all investors, because like the numbers look great when you see it. It's like, oh yeah, like a house sold for 500,000. It's like, yeah, but if this house costs 250 and it's $100,000, it's like not going to make you any money. So, you know, just really focusing on the numbers and being really just focus on the numbers and never getting excited. We're focusing on flipping, but for us, we look at each deal and we evaluate every single deal as a different thing. So sometimes a deal could be a good flip. Sometimes it's a better wholesale. You know, if it's kind of risky, I'm like, you know what, I'll sell it to someone else who maybe has longer, deeper pockets than us, or who's not 70-30. So it may be a wholesale, it may be a buy and hold, it may be creative financing. So we just evaluate every single deal, not going into it as it has to fit into this box. We evaluate it and then we place it into a box each and every time we get a deal.
So you said 70-30 a few times, and for those of us who know what ARV and all that means, can you explain why the 70-30 is important to you in your business model?
Yeah, it's really important to us, and a lot of investors are 75-25. We're just not. It's important to us because we like to see larger profit margins, and we want to have room for error. So, you know, I had what we call my hell house. And we had it for a very, very long time, and we still didn't lose money because it was 70-30. We did not, you know, we had it for a year. We had to redo work, and we had to do everything you could think of twice, take down decks. And so because, you know, we weren't greedy and we took our time and making sure the numbers added up, even when we made mistakes along the way, and we did not lose money. We still were able to make something, even though it was not anything that we are proud of.
It's better to either break even or have some sort of profit.
You make money, you learn less.
Right, yeah.
Sometimes they're expensive lessons.
Yes. Well, so Amy, I'm gonna ask you a specific question because you work with a lot of investors. You have product for people that are rehabbing often. So how do you handle locking down your construction team and keeping subcontractors?
Okay, so I've been in the construction industry for 10 years. And it has taken me about that to cultivate a very good, very loyal team. You know, in the investor groups on Facebook, my inside is just like, ooh, when I see an investor post, who do you know that can do this for the cheapest yesterday? If that's your go-to, just stop, get out of the business. You are only good as your subs, and if you don't take care of them, then you're not going to be successful. I know my subs. I treat them like family. It's just, you have to cultivate that relationship. You know, I'm small potatoes compared to some of these big builders, but a lot of my subs will bend over backwards for me because they know I pay them on time. I pay them more sometimes if they're done early, if the job site, they finish a job and it's like immaculate. So you got to take care of yourselves and don't take the cheapest sub. And I had another thought. Shoot.
If you think of it, yeah.
Yeah.
So Dominique, same question.
All of those things. And this is part of the reason why we're focusing on wholesaling. We just are not, we don't have 10 years of relationships. So we're wholesaling more deals more because of the labor shortage than us not being able to do them, because time is money every single day. So we'll say, hey, we'll sell it to someone else because we don't have the labor. My favorite GC is here, Cindy, and she's awesome, but she's been out of town working on her own things. So when she comes back, we should be doing more flips. But right now we're focusing on wholesaling because of the shortage. And I say the same thing, the cheapest is the worst. I always tell people, when someone's quote is so much cheaper, you have to ask yourself why. Ask why. And if someone is so available, ask why. And if they're the cheapest, one thing we experience is people will give you the smallest bid, so you would go with them. And then a lot of times, $20,000, $30,000 later, you basically could have went with the best of the best for the same price. So like in real estate investing, don't look for the cheapest, focus on the best, take care of your people, do the right thing, and it's still hard.
Sure.
So we before we give a contractor like a full scope of work, we'll start them out with something small and see how they handle it, because we've made that mistake too, where we've given somebody a full job and they're like, oh yeah, we can totally do this, no problem. And then halfway through you realize they have no idea what to do.
Right.
So we've kind of, started giving them small piece, and especially on cosmetic flips, that's what everybody wants to do because they're the easiest. You don't need permits, it's just cosmetic paint, flooring, maybe some kitchen cabinets, replacing some tile, things like that, easy stuff. So we'll start out kind of managing them ourselves to make sure they can handle the jobs before we give them something bigger. Someone else let me know with that too. But yeah, just a little bit at a time, and yeah, once they prove that they can do small stuff, then we'll give them bigger and kind of leave them on their own a little bit more. Yeah.
Got it.
Oh yeah, paying the cheapest. Yeah, painter. I feel like painters, if like we've run into where we've had to pay for the same thing to be painted 3 times, because the first painter comes in and you look at it and you're like, that's terrible. But you've already paid them and they're gone, and you got to get another painter. So yeah, we've run into that a lot. But pay the most expensive painter.
So to the budget question, how do you figure out your budget? How do you navigate you know, the bids? Who wants to start that question?
It's gonna cost 30% more than you think,
Yeah.
at least every time, you know? I'm bad about budgeting because I look at things based on the cost of the materials
Mhm.
and I try to figure out what the labor's gonna be. But the labor has gone up so fast and so quickly that it's hard to even figure out what everything's gonna cost. Like, we did a lot, like you're saying, we had a few flips that we were gonna do. You know, we went into it figuring it was gonna be a $50,000 rehab, and every bid we get is $80,000, $85,000, $90,000. And we just said, okay, we're just gonna sell this house and let somebody else deal with it, you know? And
Yeah.
we found a lot of the people that are buying flips and being successful with them are GCs themselves. So if you already have a crew, that's a huge advantage, and because then you know what your cost is gonna be. You're paying your labor and material, so. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not good at budgeting.
So just to kind of piggyback off of that, right now, you're getting quotes for $85,000 for a $50,000 job because there is no shortage of work in these contractors. So that's where I come in. So I go through, I negotiate, I have vendors that I use. I'm doing a project up in Elkin right now, and the countertop vendor the builder wanted to use, they were, now granted, this is a very high-end remodel, but I saved them $10,000 on just their countertops. I saved, because a lot of times, like my countertop vendor, they give me Home Depot pricing because I've used them for 10 years. You know, I'm no competition with Home Depot, so it helps me with my customers, helps me with, you know, people that I'm consulting with. And I was going somewhere with that. Anyway, so the $85,000 quotes, you know, that's where I come in and I'm like, no, that's not realistic. Like, this is, no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we all need you in your back,
Right.
in the back pocket.
Seriously. I will say the budgeting is also like the thing that I am the worst at. So I'm very, I know really well my strengths and my weaknesses, and this is probably one of my weaknesses. So I typically will bring in someone like Cindy. I'll bring in a GC that will come by and they'll quote everything for me. So I'll know a high-end quote before I move forward with the project that we're going to flip. If we're going to wholesale or do something else with it, I just need to know the numbers.
Right.
Like, hey, can we get this house off, you know, really fast? But you know, so that's my biggest weakness. So right now we really focus on, we'll pay a GC to come out on anything that we're going to flip just to give us that quote. We pay for their time because we're not necessarily sure unless it's Cindy if we're gonna, she's not there, but she's back. But other people will pay that $125, $150 for them to come out, give us that good budget so we know how to move forward. And it will typically goes towards if we use them or not. A lot of times we're not going to use them, so we don't want to waste their time. We'll pay them that money, and then we'll know, like, okay, this is the most it'll be because these are GCs that we trust that are higher, and we can find our own subs if needed to come in and go lower than that. But we can know, like, this is going to be the budget. It's that $85,000 budget on $50,000 project. But if we can get that down, if it fits our parameters at $85,000 and we can get that down to $65,000, that's awesome. But if not, you know, we know the numbers are going to $85,000. Let's make it work. So we'd rather have a higher budget and not have to spend more money and try to save money some places than have a budget that's underbidded and then we then come out $30,000 and now that's out of our profits.
So you guys have been doing this a long time in your respective areas. When you first started, what did you do? How did you figure this out?
I just went with it.
Yeah.
I was in corporate HR, and I married someone that had 3 children, and I was working 60 hours a week, and I was like, I can't do this. So I kind of just started working part-time for a builder, and I just started teaching myself stuff. As boring as it sounds, like, I'll read the NC code book. Like, I geek out on this stuff. And everybody's like, why don't you have your GC license? I don't want the liability.
Right.
So, but yeah, I
Okay.
just rolled with it.
As far as like how did we get started as far as like rental properties or flipping? Are we talking about
No.
flipping?
Well, rehab, so
Okay,
really the question stemmed off, because you guys really do know your stuff. There might be people out in the world that are watching this that are like, I'm brand new, I don't even know where to get started. Amy's answer was great. I have a feeling the two of you probably are the same. How was that?
I mean, really the way I started was by doing the work myself. I mean, finding a property, again, like I said, the cosmetic flips, like ones that are gonna be, you know, pretty simple and just going and doing the work.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got to the point where I was like, oh, do I need to be painting this wall and peeling this wallpaper? You know, it might serve me better to spend my time elsewhere to delegate that task.
Great.
So really just doing it, getting my hands dirty, really was.
Thanks for the truth. Yep.
I kind of just jumped right in, and I feel like I'm probably the baby of this group. It's been about 1.5 years for me, and we were able to grow really fast. So I've been an entrepreneur, owned a few businesses, and I do business consulting. So I help businesses grow and scale. So for me, this was just really simple. I just jumped in, somebody gave me $50,000 and was like, figure it out. And I was like, all right, sounds good. And I flipped some houses, and I'm really strategic. So I sent my mom to real estate school. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna flip houses, you can sell them. And then I saw she was like doing really well. I'm like, okay, well, you have to do a little bit more. So you can project manage too. So my mom quit her job last June, and she project manages for me. And then now we're growing out of our team. So in the last 1.5 years, you know, we've done quite a few houses. We just sold our 7th flip and wholesaling and doing land. And so I just jumped in. It was I just kind of created a plan and saw what worked. And I tried it. What I tell people is like, come to spaces like this every single chance you can get. Like there's some weeks that I go to 6 events. Every single week I learn something new. You know, like I don't think that I know everything. I learn from everyone. I learn bits and pieces everywhere I go, and just keep learning and just keep trying.
Awesome. All right. What does your box look like? Your buying box. So is there a look that you go for? Is there something like when you walk into a Dominique Rice home, you have that special touch? Do you have anything like that?
I was talking to my partner that I flip houses with today, because we joked around about this about a while ago, and I told him that question was on there. Basically, we just buy any fixtures that look like they're from outer space.
Okay.
That's literally our only criteria. We're like, that looks like it's from outer space. We're buying that.
Okay.
I'm not a creative. I do not care about paint colors. I don't care about anything. I literally only care about the numbers. And I like things to look pretty. So I don't want the cheapest. I don't want the most expensive. I would say for me, no. My mom, who project manages and does more design, she probably has a lot of opinions on this.
Yeah.
And she does ask a lot of questions. You like this or this? I
Don't care.
I just say to your mom, you don't care. Like that's me. I'm not really like I don't care. Stop asking me. But she does care, so she probably would have different input. But I'm like, you know what? As long as it looks nice, you know, we don't reinvent the wheel. So we're not originators. I don't want anything outside the box. I look at what's sold in that neighborhood, and I want our houses to look like that, but better and more original and nicer and sellable.
Great.
I like that you said you want your houses to look different, because I you know, how many times you scroll through MLS and you see gray LVP, white cabinets, black and white speckle granite, white subway top. If we keep an agreeable gray. If we keep going that route, every single house is gonna look the same. To me, like it's gonna be somebody's home. I know you're looking at the bottom line. You don't care, but you need to look at. Let's look at the architecture of the house. Let's stay true. You know, if it's super traditional. Let's not do outer space lights. Maybe let's, every house doesn't have to be farmhouse. We can stop that. Actually, I think we have enough houses out there that are modern farmhouse. So you want to lean more towards timeless than what's trendy right now, because what's trendy right now is probably going to be trendy for the younger folks that don't necessarily have the buying power that, you know, some of these, you know, higher buying folks are going to have. And then, you know, do you want to make more money or do you want to make less money?
Right.
So just go the extra mile, spend a little bit more on your finishes, and you'll get a bigger sale price.
I have a question about that. Would you say having someone with a design eye is absolutely essential to your team, or is that something you would add on later?
Don't add it on later. I think that's one of the questions you, if you want me to address.
Yeah,
it.
go ahead. Yes.
One of her questions is like, when do you bring someone like me onto your team? Yesterday. Because a lot of times people will come to me and they've already demoed and I'm like, we're about 6 weeks behind. Typically I will not start demo until all of my products are ordered and about like 80 to 90% are received. Things like cabinets, stuff like that, you know, we've got a leeway on that, but there is an art to renovation, and if you want it done right and on time and without delays, then I've developed this formula over the last 10 years and I have it down to a science. Now, these last 2 years have been a little bit different, but there's a right way to do things, there's a wrong way to do things. So yes, it is essential. Everybody's, oh, it is expensive. 99% of the time, I end up saving you money where it pays for my fee. And I sell product, and I don't mark it up for retail.
I agree.
What is one of the reasons you say you don't do demo until you have all of your work, or 90% of your materials?
So for instance, last year, the project stood still for about 4 months because bathtubs showed up broken twice. So if you've got all this stuff coming in, if something shows up broken and you can't get a replacement, then like your job is stopped. And in my case, if I have a homeowner living in the house and then they're without a kitchen because I'm waiting for some essential part of this project, I've got a mad client.
I love that. Thanks for
Yeah.
sharing that.
And it helps keep your, especially now with, you know, it's hard to get a sub out to do work.
Yes.
And if they show up and you don't have the parts, like when are they gonna come back? Maybe it might be 3 weeks, it might be 6 weeks.
Does anybody have any questions along that? Because we're going to go into selling your rehab. Okay. So to the realtors, and you can feel free to chime in since your mom does this for you. What does the selling process look like of your rehabs? If you decide that you're not going to keep it, I'm a buy and holder. I love holding my stuff. I tried to flip something one time and I kept it. What does that look like for your rehabs?
So I guess my business has taken off so much that I kind of have gotten away from me personally investing. But okay, so I don't know really how you want to answer that question, but
Well, so for you, it's different than Tom because
Yeah.
you serve the client often. So you're
Mhm.
coming into these homes. If they all of a sudden say, hey, you did such a great job, you know, love it or list it, and they decide to list it, how does that conversation come about?
well, I mean, I have my license, so I can do that, and I'm engaged to someone that is a realtor, so I typically would say, let's let him handle it. I'm too busy. I guess for me, you know, I bought a house 5 years ago in Concord. I renovated it myself, you know, worked on it, ended up selling it for 2.5 times. what I bought it for. I used that money and I have put that money into opening my own brick and mortar studio showroom. So that's kind of like really my investment story, like as far as what I personally invested, but I think it depends on the customer.
Yeah.
Well, if I'm selling something that I own, it's a pretty easy conversation, right? I wonder who's gonna listen to this one. But one of the things that I've done for clients in the past is listing the home before it's done, and I'm never doing that again.
Okay.
Because for two reasons. One, because buyers don't have the vision to see what the contractor, what the homeowner is envisioning it's gonna look like. And number two is hitting deadlines for when it's gonna be done.
Right.
I have one guy that, I list houses for who is notorious for saying, I'll be done in 2 weeks, and it takes 2 months. So, if we list before it's ready and you have a buyer who has a rate lock that's gonna expire and the house isn't ready to close, and it can get messy. So I typically like to wait until everything is done, so we can get great pictures, do open houses, get buyers through the door. Like it's gotta be ready before we list.
All right.
For us, we know what bucket it's in, so when we're doing a flip, we do a flip totally different than we would do a buy and hold or anything else, so we know going into it what it's gonna be. It's like, this is what it's gonna be, and then we have our timeline. When we do list, we have a specific structure of how we list our houses. I want all my houses listed on Tuesday, so it goes live coming soon on Tuesday. I want showings to start by Thursday or Friday at the latest, and then open house on Saturday. I want offers before the open house, because if we don't have offers before the open house, that means we didn't do enough marketing. So we have a specific structure. I still want my open house because that's when all my friends can come by and see it, and I can take all my pictures for Instagram. So that's why that's our structure. But we know going in what we're going to do with each property. We have a specific structure. Every open house we want to be somewhat similar. Depending on the price point, it changes. Over a certain amount, we do champagne and food. Under a certain amount, we'll just do water and drink. So like, I have it very strategic on what the offering is based on the asking price.
Awesome. No wonder why you scale businesses. You have a plan for everything. I love it. All right. So if you guys wouldn't mind, do you guys have more questions?
I do. So
Yep.
what is the criteria between a flip and a buy and hold?
So I don't know. That's a good question. What am I going to buy and hold versus something that I'm going to flip? So if I can buy something, rehab it and refinance it and get all of my money back out of it, then I will keep it as a rental. But it's like the Burr strategy, but if I can't get all of my money back out of it on the refinance, then I'll sell.
Okay.
If you're working on 70-30, probably a lot of them you can Burr out of, but if you're in that little marginal area, you got to recoup your costs. So yeah, that's probably my number one criteria, because I want to hold everything. I don't want to sell it, but kind of like you, I don't want to sell it, but I don't have the money to keep it. So
Yeah.
I'm not doing buy and holds right now, but I look at deals and I know it's a buy and hold. So that's what I sell to friends that want to buy. I'm like, oh, that's a great buy and hold. I focus on certain areas where I would tell people like, hey, this is a better buy and hold than a flip. Nisha and I had this conversation yesterday, but just really evaluating it, something that you can pull your money out of that may not make you money if you flipped it. It's like you get your money back out of it because it's worth it, but you're not going to make much money flipping it. Keep it, that's your strategy. I'm not doing buy and holds. I don't have any emotional connections to any of my properties. I'm more so not doing buy and holds because I just despise the thought of being a landlord, and I have to get out of that. I'm really working through this because I know it's so important, but it's just one of those things that just seems so heavy for me right now.
Okay.
One more.
Yeah,
So,
go ahead, Keith.
So how many projects do you take on at the same time? Is there a max limit that you want to put your cap on?
No, but there probably should be. We have a lot, if something comes up that we think is a good deal and we want to buy it, we'll buy it and we'll even sit on it for a few months until we get around to it. It's not a good business practice, but it's turned out well because the way the market is right now, it's like, hey, I was planning to be done with this flip in 2 months and it took 8, but I made an extra $30,000. So, you know, but so I think as the market shifts a little bit, it is not going to be a strategy that I'm going to stick to. So it's going to depend more on availability of contractors and building a good team of contractors that are, you know, reliable and repeatable.
So I have a request. If there's a gold car over here, could you move for a second or move over here? It's an SUV. Yeah, sorry to call you out. But yes, there's movers about to come to the ramp. Thanks, Bridget.
No problem.
Did that answer all your questions?
I did.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, so Cindy has a question in here, and all of you guys, if you have the answer to this, where do you find investors if you don't have the capital but are able to do the cosmetic work personally?
Network. I
Mhm.
mean, sometimes it's a weird conversation to have, but there's a lot of people out there that are sitting on cash who can get a better return by investing private money, you know, for better than what it's getting sitting in the bank or in an IRA or a CD.
Yeah.
You know, like we use a lot of private money that's, you know, people that have cash that they're sitting on that, you know, what are you gonna do with it? Put in a CD for a year that gets 1%,
Right.
0.4%. You know, you can lend it to us, private money, we'll give you 6%, 8%.
Yeah.
So it's just a conversation with everybody you know,
Mhm.
you know, and yeah, that's how we do it.
I think the same thing. When I started, I used hard money. So I had I had no idea what hard money was when I started. So I always encourage everyone to look up hard money. Do your due diligence. It's a great way to get started to build your footprint. Also, when you are starting, post on social media, because people are watching who you have no idea who are watching. And so now I can go out and get any amount of money I want. Like I can do any deal. I can call people. I have a family friend who's like, I'll give you whatever you want. And, you know, multiple family friends because they saw us putting in the work. So look into hard money for your first deals. It is expensive, you know, the interest rates are higher, the points are higher, but it's a great way to get started. Also look into partnering and JVing with someone. So right now I do JVs with some of my clients who are getting into real estate. And so what that looks like is they have to find their own deals. They have to put everything together themselves. I don't want to look at anything until it's perfect. They have to do all their own work, but then I'll come in and JV with them and we can work with some different lenders. And then I will do consulting throughout their projects to guide them through the projects. We'll help them with all the structures and everything that they need. And they'll get a lower interest rate and better deals by partnering with me. I do, you know, do that for friends and clients who are really striving to get out there. So don't be afraid to partner with other investors who are already doing it. And if you find a good deal, I tell people, if you have a good deal, the money is there. Just find the great deals. You know, money is so easy to get. It's much easier than people could ever imagine.
Yeah, I agree fully. We're starting to hedge some funds. We had over the last 2 years, especially with COVID, people are like, I can cash out, refi my house. Now I have all this money in tax. It's tax-free basically if they did that. And so they are like, I have hundreds of thousands of dollars that if you find a deal, well, awesome. I have at least 10 or 12 people that said that. So now we have millions of dollars hedged together. And when we find things, we can be pretty creative. So it goes back to seller financing is a great option too. But yeah, Cindy, we can talk more about that. Thanks for those answers. We also have, for future events, we have a specific to financial advisors in the IRA strategy and whole life policy strategies, cash out values. We just bought a property at Holden Beach and put up none of our own money. I mean, it was our money, but it was all in the market. So we took loans from ourselves versus doing some other things with the hefty down payment. And I'm really excited about that. So we have future events to talk about that. Any other questions from y'all?
Maybe we're gonna have future events at your house in Long Beach.
Yeah. We can do that. I'll zoom from there. It's actually fully rented until September, so it's a business and I'm very excited. So yeah, if there's no more questions, thank you to the panel. Thanks to the people in Zoom world and Facebook for watching. And we're gonna continue to network and learn a little bit about each other and talk about what is gonna happen. All right?
Rebecca, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey, Mark.
it's Marco here at Grid HQ. Hi, how are you? I just wanted to say real quick that Rob and I have been doing this for about 12 years now out of DC when we started this Grid network. So I get to hop on a lot of these to kind of see people's launch first events. And you can just tell when somebody kind of gets it, right? I hope everyone who is watching and is in that room understands how much value there is in having people who are in the business, who are on the field doing it, just telling you how this business works for them. And I would just encourage everybody, if you got anything out of this hour of just listening to these folks just give you value, imagine what you would get if you take Rebecca to coffee, or you just ask Tom to go to lunch, or get Dominique to just, you pay whatever it takes, whatever she wants, and take her out and explain. You tell me again, how it is that you got your crews running. Explain to me again what you like about the elder housing thing. There's so much value. Clearly, you guys do it the way we do it. Come from contribution, give value. That networking and that kind of getting together to talk shop and talk about the business is where we get our deals, is where we get our business from. And I heard several of you say the same thing. So it was awesome, tremendous value. And I just really encourage everybody to go in person so that you can do the cool network thing that I know you're about to do, but make sure that you do those follow-ups, because that's really where the magic is. And I encourage everybody there, get with these people. It will change your life and it will make you wealthy. So
Thanks,
congratulations. Great launch, great event.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Take care.